Hey programmers, Alvin here. Right now let's go over LeetCode number 965, the Univalued Binary Tree problem. So in this problem we're going to take in a binary tree as input. And what we want to do is return true or false, indicating whether or not the binary tree only contains one type of value in it. So for this particular input, because the tree only has 3s in it, I should return true. Let's look at another example. Let's say I had this binary tree. I know that this tree is filled with mostly 3s, except for this node over here. This node has a 1. Because not all of the node values are the same, I want to return false here. So what this question is asking is really straightforward. All right, so let's use this as our prime example here. So to solve this one, you really just want to use some type of binary tree traversal algorithm and then compare every value against the root value. So it's okay if you solve this one using a depth first traversal or even a breadth first traversal. It's up to you. I'll show you all of the different ways. On the whiteboard right now, let's start with the depth first iterative solution. We'll see later on when we code this up that the breadth first iterative is going to be basically identical. Because we want to solve this using depth first, I'm going to create my explicit stack data structure. What I also want to do is have a way to reference the root value. So I'm just going to use this value variable here. I'm just going to literally look inside of the root node, which is 3, and just store that value over here. Over time, I'm going to try to compare every node of this binary tree against this root value. And if all of them match up with this root value, then I can just return true, right? There must only be a single type of value in this tree. All right. So as we trace through this algorithm, because most items in this tree are looking the same, right? They have a bunch of 3 nodes here. To actually kind of refer to my nodes properly, I'm going to also label them with just some unique characters. Think of them as like the memory addresses or unique IDs. I'm just going to label them like this. What I'm saying is you don't actually have to, like in the code, give unique identifiers to your nodes, because when you actually add the node references to your stack, it's going to work great as it is, right? Because memory addresses are going to be unique here, right, in your programming language. And so just for the purpose of this whiteboard, let's say I add the root node to my stack. That would look like this. Cool. Now I'm ready to start my main algorithm. I'm going to keep running the algorithm while my stack has some items on it. So like you expect, I remove the top of my stack. That means I'm considering this A node over here. What I want to do is I want to compare this node's value against the value variable I created from before. They do match up because 3 is equal to 3. So I can keep going. What I want to do is add the children of this A node to my stack. So I'm going to add C to my stack and then put B on top of it. Great. Now I'm ready for a new iteration. I just remove the top of my stack. So now I'm considering this B node here. And again, I compare the value of this B node, which is 3, I compare that against my root value variable. So I see 3 is equal to 3, so this is okay thus far. So at this point, I want to add the children of the B node. So I add E, and I also add D. Keep running this algorithm. Next iteration, I pop D node, and I can see that D's value of 3 does indeed match my root value 3. So I keep going. I would want to add any children of the D node here, but there are none. So I just go to another iteration. I pop the E node, and I can see that if I compare E's value of 1 to my root value of 3, they actually mismatch. So at this point, I can just immediately return false because I found a single mismatch. Like you expect, once you find a single mismatch, you can immediately return false. But on the flip side, only when you make it through the entire tree and you never find any mismatch, then is when you can return true. If we say that n is the number of nodes here, time complexity here is a pretty obvious O of n, because we're just going to add each node into our stack once and also remove it from our stack once, just like a classic traversal. Space complexity here is going to be O of n coming from the stack. All right, now let's code it up. When we code it up, I'll be sure to show you the depth first iterative that we just drew out and also the breadth first iterative. It's almost identical. So let's jump right in here. I'm going to start with my stack, and I'm going to initialize it with just my root. And here they give us a nice assumption in the problem. They say that the root, or rather the tree, is going to have at least one node. So we don't have to deal with any empty tree scenario. So this is safe to do. I'm going to iterate while my stack has stuff on it. And on every iteration, I'm going to pop the top of my stack. I'll call that my node. And here what I want to do is I'm going to first check if my node's value that I just removed from the stack, I want to check if it's different from my root value. If it's different, I can immediately return false. If it's the same, then I need to continue my traversal algorithm. So I'm going to check if node left is not none, then add the left child, stack.append node left, and do something symmetric for the right here. Now, the only thing I need to do is give myself a way to return true. If you make it through your entire binary tree and you never find a mismatch, then return true. Notice that that happens after the while loop here. So I'll give that a test run, and there we have it. So kind of bonus round here. This was a depth first iterative solution because I used the stack data structure. You can modify this slightly using your queue. So I'm going to say import, or rather from collections, import deck. And how would you modify it? Well, you probably will rename this to deck. And when you pop, you want to pop left. That'll remove from like the front of your queue, and append would still add to the back of your queue. So this would be your iterative breadth first solution. Works all the same. Now that you've seen the iterative solutions, let me show you the recursive flavor. If you're going to solve this one recursively, it will end up being a depth first solution. We know an explicit iterative depth first uses the stack data structure. When you solve this recursively under the hood, you're going to be utilizing the call stack, which still gives you that stack order leading to a depth first. So let's say we looked at this very small tree example. Like always, whenever I try to plan for a recursive algorithm, I want to really look for what my base cases are. That'll be my starting point. So I have a very simple tree here. So looking at this tree, I know that the correct answer to ultimately return, it should be true, because this tree only contains one type of value. It just contains 3s. For my binary tree algorithms, especially when I want to solve them recursively, I really want to consider those null pointers. In other words, to the left of this root node, it does point to null. And that would also be true for the 3 node on the next level, right? It would have a null to its left and a null to its right. I'm going to explicitly draw them out here because it'll help me plan for my base cases. And so overall, my strategy is going to be the same in that I do want to compare every node of this tree against my root values node. So I'm going to find a way to pass that 3 from the root along. So it's going to be passed to the initial node. It's also going to be passed to all of the children here, like so, all the way down. Great. And so I want to look at my base cases now. So whenever I actually make a recursive call on a null node, what should I return here? Well, we know that in this example, ultimately you want to return true. So whenever you run into like a null node, think of that as like an empty tree. An empty tree is going to inherently return true. So when I call upon all of these null nodes, they should each return true. So now how can I use this logic to reconstruct my higher level solutions from those sub-solutions? Well, if I look at this 3 node over here, I can see that it has a true on its left and a true on its right. That means that this node can also return true, right? If it's a univalue on its left and also univalue on its right, then this entire thing is univalue. And even at the main root node here, I see that it's getting a true on its left and a true on its right, so it can also return true. This will become more clear when I step through another example. Let's look at this example over here. It's clear to see that because there's a single 1 within this tree, it should ultimately return false. Let's go ahead and draw out all of those null pointers in the same way. It would look like this. I'm going to start the algorithm in a similar way. I'm going to pass along the root value to every node when I call upon it recursively. So I get 3 here at the top, on the next level here, and even on the next level here. And I can immediately look at this 1 node, right? If I think about this 1 node, right, its value is 1, but the root value that I passed along recursively is 3. So that's a mismatch. So this 1 node, because it doesn't match up with the root value I passed along recursively, it should return false. So I'm going to symbolize that with an X here. Like we already spoke about, if this is our kind of negative base case, meaning that we return false, we have our affirmative base cases wherever we had a null node. All of those still return true. So how should we perform the logic here? Let's consider this 3 node. How should this 3 node calculate its subresult from its child results? Well, it has a true on its left, but it has a false on its right. Because it sees at least 1 false, it should also return false. And sort of what I'm saying logically here is, if you're at some node, if you're some parent and one of your children is not univalue, then that means that you're also not univalue, because you kind of inherit that false from your child. Let's look at the 3 node over here. This 3 node has a true on its left and a true on its right, so it can return true. Finally, at the ultimate root node, it has a false on its left and a true on its right. Because it sees at least 1 false, it's going to also return false. So ultimately, you return false at the top level, which would be correct. might be wondering, how can you like easily code up this logic? We're really just utilizing an and statement, right? So if you get a true on your left and a true on your right, then you're going to return true. So when you code this up, think about using the logical and operator. If we say that n is the number of nodes here, time complexity is just O of n, because we're going to make a recursive call for every node of the tree. Space complexity is going to be O of n, coming from the recursive call stack we use. So to solve this one recursively, what I want to do is I want to give myself a way to pass in like the initial root value. That way I can compare everything against it. So I'm going to need an additional function here. So you can call this helper if you want. I usually put an underscore in front of the function name. My main function, I'm going to call this helper. So it should be self.isUnival tree. And I'm going to pass in the root node. I'm also going to pass in the value of the root node. So root.val. Then over here, in this helper, I'm going to take in root.val as an additional argument. Great. So now that I have this additional argument, I'm going to make this my recursive function. And so like we said on the whiteboard, I'm going to have some base cases here. I'm going to start with the base case if the root I'm on, or the node I'm on, fits null. So if root is none, that'd be the Pythonic way to say it. If root is none, then we said that we would return true. We're going to treat an empty tree as being univalue. So that gives us a way to return true. Now we need a way to return false. So we want to return false if we have a mismatch. So I'm going to check if this node, or root.val, is not equal to root.val. So kind of be careful here. So root.val, one word, is going to be the actual root of the tree, meaning top level, whatever the real root was. Whereas root.val would be just the value of the current node. So if you wanted to, maybe you can rename this variable. Instead of root.val, I'll just say value. That'd be like the top level value. Great. So if I have a mismatch, then what I'll do is return false. So now, pretty clear in the code, I have a way to return true, also a way to return false. Now I need a way to call recursively and combine my sub-solutions. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to call upon my left, so self._isUnival tree, do root.left, and pass along the same value, right? You don't need to change the value over time. It's always going to refer to the actual root of the entire tree. So I know that this is going to come back as a Boolean, true or false. You want to AND that Boolean with the subresult from the right-hand side of the tree. Nice and symmetric. AND is a really great choice here because AND will only evaluate to true when both sides are true. So if you have at least one false, you're going to return false here, which is perfect. So let's give this a submission. And there we have it.